So that is what we're going to do today. And we're going to learn about the CSV and Rust, and we're going to talk about dynamic and fixed schema in CSV. So in CSV, usually you have a couple of ways. There's two kinds of CSV, and eventually I might do a kind of a long video about this or an XP video about this. But there's two kinds of CSVs. CSVs that come from a schema, from a database schema or something like that, and those are relatively clean usually because a database is already very tight and it's going to be mostly more tight than the CSV. So usually you really get a good kind of CSV. And there's another kind of CSV that are the CSV that are created by the human. So for example, in the medical space, I work quite a bit in the medical application space. Sometimes doctors for studies or whatever, or these kind of things, they agree and they meet and they agree on a CSV format. And everybody has different database and everything. So that is not the source of truth in a way. And then everybody generates these CSVs and conform for these CSVs. And those sometimes are a little bit less kind of fixed in schemas and needs to be a little bit flexible. So in many times we have this kind of two things where you have a fixed schema coming from a database and you can use CRD or whatever because you know your columns names. And then the other time is you don't really know the columns and you want to try to still do something with them. So we're going to use the CSV crate and try to use it for both kind of things. So that is going to be the step. If you have any question, feel free to chat here, always good. I have two the top fan here. So big thanks to the top fan. I'm going to do the office hours. I've been super late, feeling super bad about the office hours for the office hour members. I'm going to do it, and I will do it more, such as I pay back my late stage. It's going to be cool. It's just trying to put everything in schedules right now. So going back to CSV here. So today here, I might trim the live to this point for the next time when I can edit the stream live, is we're going to talk about CSV. So today we're going to talk about CSV, Rust, and the dynamic schema and all these kind of things. So that is what we're going to talk about. Hey, Rust Academy. And we have another, and we have a lot of big fun. Hey, Del Papa. Do you have a recommended CSV crate? So good question, and we're going to start from there. So here's how I do it when I look for a crate. And I've done a little bit that before, but I'm kind of new to the Rust CSV kind of things as well. So this is the way I learn, okay? So I go to crates.io. Sometimes I go to libs.rs and I do CSV. It's not bulletproof. It's not the right way, but at least it's my starting point. Now, when I see a crate like that, that is at 100 million, 14 million, above 5 million, or even 1 million staff, it means that it's kind of the de facto standard. So the developers that did it did something right, obviously, to get to these numbers, kind of get momentum. The thing is better tested, updated in 9 months. Like in a first glance, this is a solid bet, okay? So that is the thing. And then I scroll down, and then the other guys, there's some here, but they are much smaller. So I'm going to stick with this one. And then I go to libs.rs sometime, and I do a CSV. By the way, I'm not super happy with any of them. I think I understand why they order the way they order, but sometimes I'm not a big fan of the ordering because it's really by name. And anyway, but here we have this big one. Here we have the CSV async. I don't think I care about async on this one, so we don't care about that. And then the rest is relatively small. But this stuff where it's not super cool because I would love to be able to sort by keywords and number of crates, or number of download or something like that, or recent, and nobody does that. One day I might build an app for that. So I'm going to go back this one, and we're going to look at this guy. Okay, if you have any question, again, yeah, always good to ask. So this is the one, and I already kind of looked a little bit about it. So I go there, I look at the version to see if it's healthy. Is relatively healthy if you see the dates here, 9 months, 2 years. Well, it's been sleeping for a while, and then it's been fixed here with another one. Now, this kind of crate, typically, they are fine because even if they are a little bit old, the last version, it's typically, you know, the need or the requirement is very narrow. So it's okay that they don't get a lot of update. So this seems to be a good one. And I look at the dependencies using CSV core. So then sometime I'm going there and say, well, should I use that directly? And then it's no STD, which is good for embedded and so on. And then I'm going to say, well, you know, libc, or so they have their little approach. I'm going to trust because the CSV is very well used. And so I'm going to go back to CSV. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to use that. I'm going to give a try to that. Okay. So now I see the example over there, and they are using std in, which is fine. So you can pipe it after, but we're going to do another way for me because I like to iterate a lot. And there's this guy. So usually, typically, what I'm going to do, and then they have these SERDE things. But the SERDE things, again, it's useful when you know the schema. So for example, if you work with data that has been exported, then it's very useful because you know that you are going to have those guys, those columns, and then that is awesome. Sometimes you don't really know what you have. Yeah. So you want to do these things. I do like the, but I'm not going to try to pronounce this guy, but I can do a search on this guy. Great. So this one, you say, burnt sushi. I do like burnt sushi libraries a lot. I don't find this one. I like the name, but I don't find the lib. Is it burnt sushi? Or is it sushi? No. Okay, feel free to send the link here on the stuff. I can look at it. But we're going to go with this one here, the CSV crate. That is what we're going to do. So what I do typically is I look at my stuff. Burn sushi. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. So this is a good developer. Okay, yeah. But anyway, it has to be good because you don't go to millions by luck or by just because you have the good crate name. So yeah, okay. So it's the guys that write the, hey, Paul. Yeah, okay. So that's pretty cool stuff. I didn't know, but this, yeah, I mean, those guys are top developers. So now what we're going to say is, so there's two ways, yeah. This guy here, it looks like you read for a reader. So that is very important. And again, the reason why I do that is I work a lot in some of my projects in the medical space. We have a lot of CSV, we want to parse it, make it in Parquet files, polars, that will be other videos. But the point is, it's always good to have a reader because you don't want to load the whole file, obviously. The whole point of CSV is, you know, you can scan to find what you want or to process everything. And you don't want to load the whole document in memory. And then we're going to have the records like that. And then they have the records and then they print the records. We're going to play with that. And then they have the SERDE guy, which is say, hey, if you have SERDE, you can do the deserialize. And then we'll do some magic, I guess, with the headers and so on. So we're going to learn that. That is pretty cool. So I do that. And usually what I do as well is I go to the repo and I look at examples as well. And this is pretty cool. And this is good. I mean, me, I have my C1, C01, but that is the same thing. Nice prefix, like simple to more advanced. Those guys, this is cool stuff. It takes some work here to do this kind of work. So that is pretty cool. So we might go, which is, I think, the one that we had over there. And we're going to do that. So here's the way I like to do it. That's a weird way of copying. I don't know if it's because I have OBS or not. So the way I do is always with the rust-xp. So that is a way that I like to learn all the time. It's with rust-xp. So I have a big folder here. If I do ls, so if I do ls on this guy, on the parents here, you can see all of the run guys that I have. Okay, so every time I learn something, I put it there and it's fine. Then you want to clean the repo because that can get big. And I created here before the thing. So I use AI pack obviously to create the template. So this is my best practice, XP, CSV. I do a lib, which is empty for now. And then we are using CSV1 and we're using Saturday because there is some Saturday stuff. Now I have the simple guy, which is main. I'm not a big fan of anyhow in this error. I like the boxed in for my example and test. And then I have error enum for my app, lib, or whatever. So here is boxed in because it's test. And now we have the print hello. And so usually what I have is I have a little shell script. I don't know how I can print the shell. There must be a way if I do a cat. CWE, can I show the stuff? If someone knows how to print a function, this is a function. So every time I want to show it to people, but I don't have it. Anyway, if someone knows a way. But it's a cargo watch example and quiet and everything. And then I give this guy. So I'm going to do C01, simple. So that is what I have. I have my hello world, I'm happy. I always start there. My way of learning all the time, or coding or anything, is I'm always trying to put myself in a mode where I can iterate in sub-second. Whatever I do, even when I code, like AI pack now is 40,000 lines of code, okay? Even then, I have my tests and things, and always work in a way that I can, test my little thing in a sub-second kind of way when I work on stuff. And so that is super important. So now we have the print hello, and then we're going to go back to our web page here, the cool stuff over there. We're going to take some weirdo way of copying here, but we're going to copy there. We're going to take those two guys, and we're going to do that. And I don't want to do, I understand what they did. I'm not saying it's bad. Huh? I understand why they did the buffer reader business, but I do not want it because it breaks a little bit my little things, and I don't want to do a cargo watch and pipe something. It's not needed. So on this guy, I'm going to create, just because it's appropriate for XP CSV. And the nice things of having your XP business is that I have a lot of XP, like I showed you before. Yeah. So if I go there here again, I do a ls, and then I have all this XP. The nice thing is I go back to it. Yeah. Often, like when I do SQLite, I go back to my little rust-xp SQLite, and then I go back. So all the time for me, I make sure that I'm nice with my future self. Okay. So when you code, you have two kind of things. You have your teammate and your future self. They are both the same. Yeah, you want to make them easier for both of them. So at the end of the day, what we want is this one is going to complain, which is there, which is fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to do our little data here, and we're going to do our CSV CSV.01 simple. Well, that is just, I always pad stuff like that, and then CSV. Okay. So now we're going to do that. And because I'm super lazy, and now we're super lucky because we have GPT, can you create a simple CSV with headers and good example of different columns? Okay. Whatever. Yeah. And you put it in Markdown. Thank you. So like this, we don't have. They have the true, the false, the things. Can you add one with a new? So sometime to that. No, it's not. Well, okay. Well, we're going to take this guy. Then the other guy is, we're going to see why. So I had that, name, age, email, sign up date, kind of crazy title over there. I hate spaces, but that's good. Active and score. So far, so good. We have this, which is good. The thing I don't like is something that, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back. And that is important, yeah, because the way, so with this CSV, and here just because I'm lazy to do the things, but I know a little bit. Add city, colon, with a text coded because it could have comma like Davis CA. Okay. You are going to understand why here. And that is important to have this because we are going to learn. When you want to learn, you want to have enough like use cases that you can try to break and try to play with. So it's always important. The data that you use treat your test data as code. It's the same. You have to spend the same time as coding. So here I've coded. I didn't do test data. Yeah. So I think there's a nice format here, way to format. Well, then if I do that, well, actually, we're going to do that to see what the library does. Okay. Email. This is a funky one here. So it's funny that it didn't double code this guy because I guess there is no comma. So that's fair. And then we have the code there. So I think we're starting to do pretty good. And I'm going to add a new one, which is for that guy. I want a new. I don't want to be accused of anything here. I'm going to take New York. So I'm going to take New York and I'm going to take a new. Okay. So now we have those kind of things. Oh, cool. Thank you. Void byte. This is why lives are awesome. I need to do more lives. This is awesome. So you go back there. And then if I do that, without the funky whatever. No. There must be something somewhere. No. Well, okay, we'll get. But one day I will know and I will be able to print it. I could ask ChatGPT, but I don't want to bother this live here. So we have the edge here. I put some funky formatting and everything. So now we're pretty happy. And I'm going to create. So from reader, I'm going to come and click on this guy. This is R like he doesn't care. Is IO read. Okay, so that's good. So now what we're going to do is reader IO reader from and we're going to have data CSV 01 simple without the F. Fair enough. No, it goes to the function. I just want to print it. I have a function with a S, you say? Oh, cool. Function with a S. You're right. Look at that. This is awesome. Thank you. Goodbye. Oh, finally. Every time I don't have to do a web page and everything. So this is what I use. So like this, I can do my cargo example. And then I have another cool one. Oh, this is heaven. Which is my cargo wash test. And this one is a little bit more advanced. Don't worry, I asked ChatGPT to write this guy. But it's cool because if there is one parameters, it does the cargo test on this one. But if there is two, then the first one is assumed to be the file. And this is super convenient on many cases. So it's a little hacks, yeah? Hacks, but good hacks. So now we want to do that. And I never really remember how to do. Oh, this guy is doing that. Okay, are you kidding me? This is ChatGPT. This ChatGPT, this Copilot It's weird sometimes. So if I do let file, okay. Can I do that? Okay, cool. I never know, I never fully remember the stuff, but this is cool. So we basically here what's happening is we're creating a file. So this is std file thing. So this is this guy. And this guy happened to implement reader, which is nice. So that's why that, if I command click, I like a lot to command click. This one is not bound, so we don't know, but it's probably bound on this guy. So I want there, and this is IO read. Okay, and if you click here, you go back, and the read trait allow reading back from source implementer read. So we're going to assume that is a buffer read. We'll see that later. I'm going to toggle the inlays on and off. I like that. And then I think that's it. So that is a new stuff, which is a little bit, I need to, yeah, anyway, long story short, with AI Pack and Procoder, I have my best practices and I need to make sure that they put the things there. Otherwise, the latest Rust kind of complain a little bit. So I'm pressing save, and now I go back here, and no search a file, no problem. Sorry for the one that spotted that. And then boom, we have those guys. So now it makes sense. So if we go, we learn a couple of things. One thing we learn is the headers, and this is one thing I've read when I browse the crate. The headers, by default, it assumes that it is a header. So it's consuming the header, not throwing it away actually, because if we were going to go to JSON, that is where it does this cool magic here of doing the header. But from a string record standpoint, we only get the content. Okay, so that's one. The next thing that we're learning is, and that's good, if there is spaces, it doesn't try to do magic, give us back the spaces. So that's good. The thing that we're also learning is that if there is some funky stuff over there, and let's put slash here. So this is what I like again with this kind of way Cargo Watch is I can learn super fast. I just change the stuff, press save, and then thing. Now, if I put a comma here, it's going to be kaput, I think, yeah, because now it doesn't measure length. That's good. Save. So now this is date, this is true, doesn't mean anything, you know, and we see that everything is a string. So if we were even going to put a true like that, there's no magic to say it's true. A number becomes a string as well, which is good. There's not assumption. And now we also, no, this is interesting. Why does he have, oh, no, I am the one confused. And then the UC Davis, which has a comma inside, it's doing good. So it's actually, we have the whole thing, pretty cool. So now we have learned how that works. And so there's no magic on typing and things and so on. And then we are going to, this is going to actually pretty cool. So now we know that. And if we wanted the header, I think there's something with header. Let's see that we have. So the RDR is a reader file, but it's a CSV reader. Yeah, so I option click all the time. So I rarely go to the doc. I often go, I stay there. And so we're going to look at reader. And again, I'm learning with you here. And so the reader is their stuff. Okay, I see that I'm there. And then it's a reconfigure reader. A reader takes an input CSV. Okay. That's cool. So there's a whole builder business and stuff. So it has a lot of stuff. So they have the ergonomic is pretty nice. And pretty, when we say pretty nice with a French accent, I mean very nice. Yeah, that's a French way of, we don't have great. We have not too bad. And pretty nice is awesome. So are the reader from reader files, we have that. And now we should have, I think there's a thing like headers, no? Yeah, cool. So let headers, and that is result. That's fair. So because we have our box din over there, we don't care, we do stuff, and we'll get the error nicely. I don't know why I put that. And then we have a string record, which is the same guy as this guy. Interesting. That's fair. That's fair, yeah, because the string record is in a way is their canonical, or I don't know if it's the right term, but it's their stuff, yeah. So what they are saying here is to say, hey, this is our record of a line. Basically, a string record is a line. It's a row. They could have called it. I will have called it a row actually. But now I can do a one piece. So this is my rust-10x. Here I have debug things, and I'm going to do a headers. And I'm not going to have this one actually because when I do this dash greater than, I always remove it before commit because that's my debug print. But in this case, I want to stick it there because that is part of my XP example. So I want to make sure that I keep the same pattern. I'm going to remove the inlays. Sorry, sometimes I keep them. And now if I go, I have the headers, name, age, and we see that the age here, there's no magic it's giving me the whole things. Now I think there's something somewhere where we can say, so we're going to keep this guy. So this guy is actually a pretty good start. So we're going to do a git add, git c, papar pass, pretty nice, is multi-threaded. Yeah, the multi-threaded, I'm not sure is something I want in a parser, but it's interesting here. Because in a parser, you have a stream of data, and so you want to like read the rows. You don't, typically, yeah. Now, if you already have your string, then you can split it and then parse each line, I guess. So we're going to say first, we're going to do C01, simple. Okay. And the cool thing here, I'm going to git push it. And if you go to GitHub, Jamie Sean channel, and then you should see this one. I'm going to put it on the CSV. So when I do, oh no, my mistake. Oh, I thought I had it pushed. Okay, I will push it there. I don't know why. Oh no, somehow I set it private. Sorry, it's my mistake. I have it private. Hello, merge commit. I'm trying to open it here. How do we? I don't want it private, so how do I change it to public? Someone knows? I mean, am I silly or what? Hello, rebase. Oh, change visibility. Change to public. Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh no, I should have, sorry. I should have created the stuff. Well, I will do it later. So the link here of this guy, because I have two-factor in here. I will put it later in the thing. So sorry, my mistake. I don't know why I didn't create it in public in the first place. I missed it. So this will be there. And so you will find the stuff. So now that we have this, we're going to take this guy and we're going to do the C02 and we're going to do with the CRD. They have a nice kind of CRD use cases over there. I'm going to close it. There's a little bug in VS Code. And we're going to still stick to this one. And we're going to have, go back there. And so the CRD is good when you know the schema. If we don't know the schema, then the CRD doesn't really help that much. Yeah, so we have to do some more work. But if we do, it's pretty cool. So we're going to go this guy, which is fair enough. We're going to copy that. And I hope, I don't know if there is a feature crate. Feature. So that is one thing about the doc, is that it's always super hard, or I didn't find a good way of quickly finding a standard way, a common way that everybody is using to find the feature. So often I go to here, and apparently there is no feature. Oh yeah, okay. That makes sense. It's not true multi-threading, it's using the web worker to offload parsing. That makes sense. Yeah, so you like put it in someone else, it doesn't, slow down the UI or whatever. And then when the result is back, you like get a ping back. Yeah, that makes sense in JavaScript. But in Rust, we don't have to worry about this gymnastics. I mean, multi-threaded is important. Yeah, you might put it in a task or whatever, but it's not a requirement. Yeah, it's different. So we're going there and we're going to do this guy where we're going to create that. Going back there, we're going to do, I don't know what is that, active score. What is the score? Yeah, that's fine. User or person, okay? And then we're going to have name, age, and city for now, okay? So name, we're going to have age, and that is going to be, we're going to put it as a use32 and city for now. I just want that, yeah, just to learn. That I'm going to do this. So I have that, I have the person over there. And now I'm going to go back to the example. So it's always good to look, like for me, is moreover with good developers to go to their examples. Because usually, even me, when I do crates, I spend some time of making sure that it works and is a way I want people to learn and the good practices and stuff. So often it's nice. So that is a write business. Oh no, I didn't say write. I don't want to write. I want to read. Read CRD. And then I have the RD deserialize. Okay, I'm being slow here. For result, deserialize. That seems that this reader deserialize will give me okay, I'm mixed on this guy. So that means that we get an iterator that automatically will deserialize the beast. Which might be good, but sometimes you might want also to deserialize from the string guy. So I'm going to look at this guy here. I'm going to go back to the example. So what I would like to do is, I would like to look if it's, might not be possible, I don't know. I would like to know if it's possible to read a string record and then to parse it, to serialize it as a CRD. I know, you always have this guy. Okay, we're going to do this way first. The reason why is because we're going to do this way. The reason why is because if I deserialize things, I might want to say, hey, if I deserialize it, I want to, if it doesn't work, I still want to have the string record of the row for whatever reason. So this is, so right now I'm learning the credits. So I'm learning the limitations and what I can do or how can I do things. So we're going to do their way for now, which is they have a special iterator, I guess. I'm being slow here. And I'm going to put there. The future of programming language depends on the intelligence of tooling by the intelligence community individuals around the language. I think I agree with that. I think Temidayo, I might, Rust will catch up with the level of Python adoption only when tools of various domains, especially scientific ones, as a number one go to. Yeah, well, this is a long discussion that we'll have later. I just want to have this guy. So we get the reader, and the strategy here is this loop. So we're going to do that guy. And so now this, if we, so that again is the way I learn. Yeah, I go there, string records iterator. Makes sense? I go back up, and now what we want that guy. So I go back to my cargo watch, stop it, and then I'm going to do a C02 CD. And again, this is the reason why I work the way I work, because I work for my future self, not for me. Meaning that later when I come back to this rust-xp, I want to find back my duck, and I say, oh, okay, this is simple. You know, if I want to go like rogue and I know what I want, I mean, I handle everything. This is good. It's as raw as it gets. You get every row, string, and then that's it, almost. There's one information you are losing there, but I think it's fine. You are losing the fact that is there a double quote or not. You don't know it. Yeah, so you don't know if things had a double quote or not. But I think it's fine. Except if you want to do, efficient or predictive parsing, saying, well, if it's not double quote, might be a number or might be a Boolean. If there's a double quote, might be, we know it's a string. So perhaps that would be an exception, but I don't know. So this guy is as raw as it gets. And now this guy is using the serialize. So now if I option click, is it option? Option click. Now I have this guy, this serialize, which makes total sense. Yeah? So it's another beast. And then on the result, we have this, which it doesn't know what he has. So that means it doesn't know the type, I guess. And that is because I don't have the person here. Now he knows. Yeah, now the compiler knows. It makes sense. So this means that obviously when you parse, you need to know the schema. So again, it's the same thing. And then this is the funky new thing. I mean, I like it, but now you get warning a lot. But I will show one day with AI Pack, you can fix all of your files in seconds because you can have concurrency. So it's going to be pretty cool. So now that we have this, I'm going to run this guy. I have the warning over there. I'm going to go to my cargo and I'm going to toggle this one on. because I don't want the warning at least now. And now header stuff, error deserialize, position, deserialize error, can name. Okay, cool. So one of the things here is a name, age, and city, and is because I'm going to pin this guy, and I'm going to pin the data as well. Whoa, I didn't want to change that. Is because I didn't uppercase them yet. Those guys are uppercase here, and this guy, they are not. So if I were going to do that, no, that would be too cool. Which now it looks weird in Java, in Rust. Showing my age here. Some position deserializer age. Oh yeah, fair enough. And that is because our age has these crazy spaces over there. Now again, what we've learned. Okay, so why complain again? Invalid digit. That's fair. Is that fair? Oh wow. Ah, okay. Because there's spaces here. So that's fine. And that's fair. It's actually very fair because you don't want the crate to make all the assumptions. And my guess here is that the question here is string record into a Rust struct. But if it fails, maintain a string record. Yeah, okay, I'm going to clarify this, Babatas. What I meant is, you see here, if it fails here, it fails because, we have the spaces and stuff. Kaput. Yeah, kaput. So I can decide if I want kaput only for the row. I could say, if there's an error, I continue and then I go next. Or if I want to block the whole thing. So that's fine. What if I wanted an iterator? And I don't know if it's possible, but right now I'm like trying to get the scope of the beast. I would like to have the result and say, hey, if you cannot go to person, I want the string record. I want a raw guy. Yeah. And I don't think here that this result here that we have here, I don't think that string resolve, I don't think that the error will give me back the string record. So if it fails, it won't give me back the record, the row. Yeah, because then I could do something else with it. Yeah. So I could say, oh, I'm optimistic, might be person, and if it's not, I will deal with it and I will do some funky stuff. So we don't have that, which is fine. It's not a criticism. I'm just trying to understand, what we have. So now that we have these kind of things, the reason why it didn't work is because we had all of these spaces over there. Okay. Now, what we can do is, we're just going to fix this problem right now. I think I read somewhere that we can do a trim. And I don't think it's after. I think it's in the builder. Yeah. So what we're going to do is so sometimes you can go to the doc. The way I like to do is I do a option click and I go there. So it's just because I like files. I don't like web page. I build a lot of web pages. That's my business. But like when I code, I like to be in my files. And so it's cool. I kind of option click, reader, and then boom, builder. So that is pretty cool. So now I'm going to go there, going to back to this guy. And now rather to have this, I'm going to do a let mute RDR. And I'm going to have this guy. And I'm going to Actually, I like to have, yeah, no, I like this way. This is nice, it's neat. And then from reader, and I think I'm going to do like that. And that should do exactly the same. It will kaput, yeah, because it didn't like it, but at least now we have the builder business. Now that we have the builder, I'm going to try to be optimistic here to see dot, and I do what? I do a control space. And now I'm going to see if there's a trim business. Haha. Cool. And now the question is, why does it give me trim like that? Trim, trim. And then again, I do my option clean, headers are all filled. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's a cool one. So we go back there. I'm going to take that. And I'm going to go there. Now, if it were nice, it would have put it in the CSV as well. And I put it there, so like this, it's very easy for me to know what belongs to what. Oh, look at that. And now it works. Pretty cool. Thank you, Burn Sushi. So that is awesome. This is awesome. Now, we still have the funky, we don't want that, obviously. So I think that in CRD, correct me if I'm wrong, but we can do a rename in CRD. I don't know how it is. Yes, it is CRD. Name. No, it's not that. Let me see. Never be ashamed of using AI. And for the well-known stuff, AI is not that bad. No, it's not this one I want. I want the one that I'm logged in. So often I do in ChatGPT, I use 4.1, I think. And sometimes I use AI Pack when I do development as well. But that is okay. And then I'm going to say with rust-xp, how can I have a custom name for a field? Okay. And that's just because I'm lazy to. Let's rename. Yeah, when I saw rename is weird because rename, which one do you rename? So that is name. And actually I'm going to ask, is there a way to say lower case? Rename all. Oh, okay. That's fair, yeah. We could do that. It will take care of some of them. It won't take care of all, yes, because we have another bad guy over there, which is sign update. This is why I kept it for later. So this one, it will be sign update, but then it won't be there. Now, I do lowercase and snake case, one space. Okay. Yeah, no, but this is not what I want. It is not what I want. Okay, well, we'll go step by step. So, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do that, and then the other guy, we will do it by hand with this guy. So that will be what we're going to use. And that's fair. So that will be our sign up. So the question is, which one are we using? Sign up date. Is that? Okay. So we'll use that later. For now, I want to make sure that we have those guys and that doesn't complain. Boom, we do that. It complains missing field name. Okay, it might be the other way around. Okay, I do think it's the other way around, so we're going to test it like that. Sorry. And that won't work, but we're going to do the name like that. And now it should be the other guys that complain. Yeah, age. So that makes sense. So now what we don't is we don't want that. What we're going to say is, and go back to ChatGPT and say, inside I could go also to okay, cool. So kebab case. I don't even know what is a kebab case. But I think what we want is not camel case. We want this one, Pascal case. I think. Yeah. And then the sign up is the two guys who are going to have it by hand. So if we do that, remove that, press save, boom, works. We're happy. Okay, so that's pretty cool. This is what we wanted. So that is cool. We have this, and then what we're going to do is sign up date. And then the sign up date is where this guy is this guy. I like that. Give me the military time. Somehow he knew me. And so now I'm going to do sign up date. And we're not going to be too brave here on this live. We're going to keep it as string for now. And it will be happy. Boom, we have it. Sign up date. And then I want this other guy here. So this one, so the score, active is nice because it's a Boolean and it has different cases. Yeah. So we're going to see how it handles this guy. And then that is a float. That's simple. And then this one has a null over there. So that is going to be nice as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to learn the active one, which is our things. So active and bool. And it complains. Why does it complain? So true. And it doesn't like the uppercase. So again, there's two kind of CSV, and that is a trick. There's a CSV that comes from database and stuff, and you can control them. So you can say, hey, I want everybody to be lowercase. Don't do yes or whatever. So here, if we do false, true, that will work. But as soon as we have a false guys like that, boom, kaboom. And then if we have a yes, a no guy like that, kaboom. So we can put it like this for now. And that will be our CSV02 mixed or mean. Yeah, it's a mean guy, which will have different types. Yeah, so this one is a nice guy. We're going to treat it like this, just to learn. So again, here, I'm learning with you. This is the way I will do it. And so now we know that we have the true, false, and everything. That's good. And then we want, the next one is a float. Okay, so this is fair enough. But in fact, what we're going to do is, that is core. And we're going to do a F64. And then we're going to press save. So it should be score here. Why I don't have score? Oh, because I didn't press save, sorry. And so now we have the score. Okay, 98. And now what I want to check here is if I have a guy that is just 92. That shouldn't complain, yeah, because that would be super mean. Okay, that doesn't complain, so we're happy. And now we have the city guy. And this is going to be a string. No, no. So we already had the city, sorry. Oh, we already had the city. So I'm going to put it down there, just as the order. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to say that Bob didn't want to share his stuff. So he said, you know, it's not of your business. Yeah. So we press save, and that should oh, interesting. Oh, that's funny. And the other guy is new, yeah. So yeah, okay. So there's no option business then. Is there an option business then? Oh, perhaps there's an option if, let's say that Bob doesn't want to share his age. I mean his score, because he's humble. And so we're going to say it doesn't have a score. So now we press save, that should kaboom. Okay. So it's empty. But now if we do that option, save, should work. That's pretty nice. That's pretty cool stuff. Okay. So the trick here is if, for example, which is fine, yes, because in string empty could be considered as empty string, you know, so the option none is fine. So this one, empty, there is no empty in numbers, and -1 or 0 would be terrible choice. Now, if I were going to say that Charlie doesn't want to share his city, so Charlie city will be empty, and now if we did that, will that change anything? Oh, interesting, cool. That's nice. So basically, what the crate is saying is say, hey, if there's nothing, if I put empty space like this, oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, that's very cool. So this is a cool crate. This is cool stuff. It really does a nice default. So if it's empty string and it's a string, then it's not mean. You say, okay, you have an empty string. Now, if you have the type as an option, say, hey, if you have an option, it means that empty string equal none, which is fair. Yeah, because in CSV, you wouldn't be able to do something else anyway. So it's a fair assumption. You're not losing information there. And so, boom, you have that. And because we did the trim, even when we do the things, stuff are trimmed. That is pretty cool. And so now I'm going to do a git add. If you have any question here, feel free to ask. I'm going to check, sorry, stuff. And then how long until you have to write a custom desire? Yeah, you're right. This is what my question here, Papatas, del Papa. Yeah, at some point, you know, I mean, like for dates and everything. But then after you are in the Saturday world, yeah. So this is why I think it's nice that the CSV did that, because you are in the Saturday stuff. So it's a nice thing. So that is pretty cool. So I'm going to git add, and I'm going to do a git c, and I'm going to add this guy here, which is going to say, I'm going to do a plus. So I have this convention, soft convention. Plus, when you add something, dot is when it's minor, minus is when you fix, and so on. So I'm going to do C02, CRD.rs. So that is pretty cool. So that is a fixed schema. You know what's going on. We know quite a bit now because we know how to rename. If we have a funky name over there, we can say, hey, everything is Pascal case on the CSV front, but we want to be Rust-like when we're home. And then we have the score, we have the option when it's not there, and the option also work with the string. And now the thing here to Del Papa here is exactly what you're saying, is to say, well, if I want to have, for example, but that is more kind of a CRD problem than a CSV problem in a way, or CSV crate. If I want to support big true and small true or small false or yes and so on, that is where kind of a custom serializer comes in. Okay? And in fact, I think we're going to do that next. I think that it would be pretty good. So we're going to copy this guy and we're going to call it mean. And not like the mean, that the mathematical mean, the mean like, the mean guy. And the mean guy say, sometimes I do this, I'm going to say false here. And then sometime I'm going to do yes, like a Y. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. And this is already pretty mean. And then that's it. Sir, should I grind in Go or learn Rust? Well, okay, this is a good question. Should I grind in Go or learn in Rust? Will Rust be useful? So obviously, I'm biased. Yeah. So my business is Bright Snow. Okay. And we do big app with small team. We've been doing it since 2009. I worked at Netscape, Oracle, Adobe before. And for me, is I always try to stay ahead of the technical curve. And for me, Rust is a game changer technology, like Kubernetes was in its own mean, and Linux is, and many others. For me, Rust allows us to develop application in a much more robust way, and then it fits extremely well into the ecosystem and everything for web apps and so on. Now, the trick of Rust is, first of all, when you apply for a job, you need to, if you like Rust, you should learn Rust, and hopefully you can find a job in Rust. Sometimes in the Silicon Valley, a lot of people did the Go stuff because that is a Google thing and it looks good in resumes and stuff. And Go is I don't like the language, but it's not a broken language and runtime. It's a very efficient language and runtime to create cloud application or even Docker or whatever you want to say. So it's not a broken one. Go is okay. I don't think Go is a nice language and scale very well. Things they added generic and stuff, finally. So scale, I think, is scaled better. But Rust is Go is okay language. I don't like the language, but it's not a toy. Yeah, you obviously can build serious web application, and teams that are good at it can build top-notch application. I personally think that the Rust language is bigger bang for the bucks, assuming that the team embrace it. Yeah, and management and staff doesn't fight it. So for us, for example, when we do development project now, I only take Rust. Otherwise, it's like, well, there's other guys. And we do the Rust backend and front end and stuff and all these kind of things. And then we coach enterprises to do Rust in production stuff. So I'm biased with Rust, obviously, and I think Rust is a better, more scalable language. And it's not it can be a system programming language, but you can do cloud app as fast. I mean, for me, as fast as Go. Yeah. Moreover, with AI and the right AI tools, the whole thing's kind of with AI pack and the best practices. You put 2 developers in Go and stuff, I can develop as fast in Rust. So for me, I will say Rust. If you have a job or if you have a team that is Go is not a bad language. I mean, I don't like the language, but it's okay. So hopefully I answer the question. It's not too long. But if you have another one, feel free to ask. Or if you want a clarification. So that is pretty cool. So we have the mean guy now. And the mean guy does false and Y and for now is just going to be that min. Okay, we're not going to do something else. So we are going to build, and so here the thing I don't really like is 0, 1, 0, 2. It feels that it matches those guys, which is not. So that's one limitation of my guy, but of my naming so far. But that's fine. C03, and I'm going to say CD custom. That's fair enough. Okay, I'm going to cut it here. Avoid byte. The mascot Ferris, we know what you from the sky, waiting for you to learn Rust. Yes, that's good. My usual projects include AI, LLM, Edge, AI, media streaming, movies, all of which interest me. Should I try to Rust? Yes. And for the GenAI stuff, you should use GenAI Crate. It's an awesome crate. I've heard that the guy that created it is super awesome. No, I'm kidding. It's my crate. But you have other one as well. You have the Async OpenAI, which is pretty good as well. You have GenAI's different strategy and things. But, you know, you have very good crates to talk to AI, LLMs. And then if you want to stream stuff and manage bytes and everything, the good thing with Rust is you have garbage collecting at compile time. So you don't pay it at runtime. Go, you pay it at runtime. Even if you compile it as a binary, still have garbage collectors. So for these kind of things, might be better to do it in Rust. But again, Go, if you have a team in Go and stuff, it's a robust runtime. So we're going to copy that guy over there. And now we're just going to take the C03 and the min guy. So we're going to do the C01 first, because what I want is, I want to do this guy, and I'm going to do a C03. Now, unfortunately, with my little autocomplete here, you don't have the tab. You have to do it by hand. So CD, custom. Boom. So I have that. I have my headers over there, and I have all these types. Ugly, but useful. Now, I'm going to git add. And so often what I do is when I am in the work, you're going to understand what I do that C03, CD, custom. And that tilde means I am in the work. Sometimes it gets committed push, sometimes it gets squashed with the other guys and the command get deleted. But we might be using AI here to help us doing the annoying stuff. And so I want, when you use AI, the important things is to always have a super good Git discipline. You can even create a branch if you want or whatever. So now what we want is we want to create. So now what we're going to go back, we'll go back to this guy. And this guy works, yeah, because we did that. Now we go back there, press and then kaboom. Well, kaboom, no, that is another kaboom. Min. And now it complains, yeah, because the first one was happy. The second one is not happy because the second row, I'm going to pin this guy. Now the simple we can get away. The min, we're going to pin it. So the reason why the second row wasn't happy is because this one was true, good. This one is false. It doesn't know. Okay, so kaboom. And then the other one is, we have one, which is a Y, yeah, to say true. So good luck, Jason, to guess those guys. And it would have been bad, yeah, because the thing has to be deterministic. They cannot say everything. So, and there's another issue, yeah. Some of the CSVs, like for example here, it's kind of nice. Like if I wanted to do the thing, I will do known. Okay, this is a good one actually. This is a min guy, because this means that that's not a city, obviously. That means that there is no city, because the guy has been using Python or whatever to generate it. And now we have known, but we want known to be known. So that is where we need to have custom CSV stuff. And here we are still kind of in the strategy of our CSV. We know structure. Yeah, we know those guys. Sometimes you have no clue. And so we want to handle that. That might be another live, I don't know. But that is one thing that we want to handle as well, is to say, hey, I'm not going to have a CSV. It's not a thing. Yeah? But I might want, for example, I don't know, I might want to take a CSV and translate it into a new line JSON. So, and I don't know the schema. And perhaps I have some rules where I have my own little parsing rules that we're going to do here. So now that we have that, I'm going to go back there and go git log. And here's the things. Git commit. Git is a very important skill to have. I'm not a pro in Git. So sometimes I do this, and then I have a very cool app that I love. This is an awesome app. I don't have any sponsors. So it's Fork. And this is nice. It allows you and things. And they have some extension here, but this one is just top notch. And then you can, sometimes to do advanced stuff, I go to this guy. But the thing is, what we're going to do here is I do a git log. I have this guy. And now what I want, I'm going to do a git amend. So I have a little alias that does it's a git alias that does a git amend on this one. It's dangerous to do that because once you do that on a real code and you don't want to do it, it's too late. Yeah. So you always want to make sure that you always do a git log before. But it's useful because this way you can really kind of, it's like in video games, when you save your checkpoints. Yeah. It's a quick save without the git save. And so the point is that now what we want is so the none won't complain. It will just show city none, which is fine. But the thing that complain is the active, because the active is a custom thing. We could learn, and we have done it. Yeah, I've done it in the past. How to, code a custom serializer. And there's a couple of ways here. We can have our own type, and then you could have your own type. I think that will work, and type which will be a score, or it will be our number type, for example. Yeah. And we do a number type, which could be FCC, and then we have a custom serializer for this guy, CSV serializer. And then in this case, we do whatever we want with it. And that is fine. And then we have the deref and everything into F64. And then everybody's happy. So that is a valid strategy to do it. It's actually a very valid strategy. And it's actually a very good strategy. It's not that bad, actually. Because then we can have all, like I'm thinking in my stuff, then we can reuse that in multiple places. Yeah, so we have our little types. And here, I'm sorry, it wouldn't be number score here. It would be this guy. And that will be our bool. Okay? And then we have a deref and everything into the bool of Rust. So that is a strategy. And so then after, that is what we write the type of. The other one is, I'm pretty sure, in CSV, there's a way to say, hey, I have a custom serializer or deserializer. And so in this case, we want a custom deserializer. And we're going to say, when we serialize it the normal way. But when we deserialize it, we want to be more flexible. Okay, so this is what we want. We could go around. So there's two ways of doing it. One is we go around. One is to go to do a Google search, and we can do one is to know everything in your head. If you see me on YouTube and you think I know everything in my head, obviously I don't. Yeah, I prepare it, I make the videos, such as there's a high content to noise ratio, But then in this case, I know, the things, I've already done them, but I don't know them by heart. Yeah? So how to do a custom deserializer in Rust. It feels so weird to do Google now in Rust. CRD for a field. And it's funny because I'm asking it as a thing. And so now Google is getting, is getting in the game, yeah. So they have these things here and they are telling me, CRD, which is exactly what I remember. So that's good. And then you have a function and then the function has a signature and then you can do. Bad things about that is you have to add it every time you need it. The good thing about this approach is that it's simple. It's simpler. Yeah, you don't have to have your own type and everything. Because one thing that we don't want is we don't want to have a custom serializer. You're cool for the serializer of person. But usually when you have CSV, you might have different views on your CSVs. So if you write something, you might want to do it at the type level. What I was saying, yeah, my bool or whatever type. Yeah, and say my number and then my string or something like that, perhaps. String, you probably don't need it. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to do that approach for that guy. And honestly, this is very simple to do. So I might just do it like this. You see, Google was as fast as good as, they got the pressure. And then that was the old way, yeah? So I would go there, then we click there, but then it's like, this is why is because here is it's a good spec, but now I'm like deep into the visitor trait and all this pattern, which I don't really need to be that deep at this point. Yeah? And so then I was like, no, it might be this one. And then that again is when you write one for your own struct. Yeah. And so that is not what we want either. And then custom serializer. Yeah. So then you spend quite a bit of time of hunting around. And then it's not easy to find this guy. But what we want is this guy. That is what we want right now. Okay? The other guy is to create the stuff. So what I do is I have this AI pack stuff. I'm going to make demos. And in fact, what we're doing here is for AI pack. And because I want to add JSON, CSV in JSON, CSV to Newland JSON, and then eventually even polars and everything is going to be super powerful. So the way it works here is you have your prompt. You can put any model you want. So actually we can use our cool like GLM. So that is GLM 4.5 from Fireworks. That is new cool stuff. And then I'm going to actually, in my knowledge globes here, I have my rust-xp based here. And so that's definitely not vibe coding. Yeah? You will give that to a vibe coder guy, they would get very sad. They say, where is my drag and drop? So now I don't need that. Yeah, actually I can do that. So the cool thing is YAML, yeah. So you put that there, shift to put the path. Boom. So now the new procoder is YAML. If you have questions about how to install that, I can show you, but I want to go fast. And then we're going to take our example here, which is this guy. Put it there. And we're going to say write mode here. And then our GLM, which is GLM 4.5. And now we're going to do, can you, I don't like to say, can you implement? Yeah, they are the machine, we are the human. So implement custom serializer, deserializer for the field active so that it takes all of the possible data from the CSV. Okay, so boom, we do that. Actually, I'm going to use Flash because this time is slow here, but you can use anything. So Flash is Flash 2.5. And I can use JPro, which is a JPro. And then I go back here, click run, then boom, that is the new terminal UI here, Ratatouille. So that I'm going to show that at some point. So at some point I did some video about live, but now it's very cool. You can see all the runs, you can navigate, and you have concurrency. It's starting to be super cool. And then boom, it's implemented. It's pretty fast. And it didn't do the way, what did it do? This was my old. So that's why it's super important. Epic fail. Epic fail, yes. It is epic fail. Oh, no. Oh, okay. So you want with this way. But I didn't want that. So that's what it did here. It did this guy. But I didn't want that. So the reason why it's super important to things is you want to be able to do a git restore. This is git restore dot. So that is always why it's super important to have this. Now going back there, so use AI, don't trust AI. That's the things. Now it's like yeah, but I thought there were a way. I don't want to have. I don't want to have a type. So this is not necessarily bad, but when I'm there anyway, I'm going probably to have my own deserializer for this guy. Yeah, typically. And I wouldn't do it like that, probably. Sometimes I do, but sometimes I like to have my own types. But I thought that there were a way where we could keep it and dig deeper and stuff. Okay, so I'm going back on this one. We said it with deserialize with how can I write a deserialize custom. I think that is what was missing. I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to go back to my coder prompt here, implement. For what? I think there's a way to do that because I thought I did it at some point. So here, the nice things about Procoder is that it's within the stuff. Yeah, that is what we want. So I don't know why he went the whole type way. What does the guy did now? So you see the cost here. That's pretty cool. That was 0.04 cents. This one was a 50 cents. We see the reasoning, and the implement and the stuff. So it's pretty cool stuff. And now I'm happy. Okay, that's fine. Now this is cool. And then if I go to Cargo Watch, boom, got it. That's it. That's pretty cool. That is awesome. At least I'm happy about that. So that is what we wanted. This is why, again, use AI. Yes, we have to AI force multiply ourselves. The whole vibe coding stuff, the new programming language is English, all of that, that's silly. It's just people that never know how to code, that were always frustrated, and now they're all happy because they think that, you know, they did not have to learn to be coder. Well, they're not coders, they will never be coder. Now, the trick here is that us, we're a coder, we have to embrace AI, because if we don't embrace AI, we won't be able to, show how much we can do. So if we embrace fully AI in our coding, we'll always be better than the people that doesn't know. Yeah? It's like, I want my doctor to use AI, but I don't want my doctor to be a prompt engineer. Yeah. So again, same thing with coder. Yeah. I'm not going to put my money in a bank that has been vibe coded. So anyway, all of that to say, I get a little bit handsy sometimes on AI, but all of that to say that this is pretty cool. It's exactly what we wanted. So the first one was a big solution. And for me, if you have your own type and you go all there, implement a deserializer for your type. This is a very good way to do. Otherwise, if you want to have a quick patch like that, that is a completely valid solution. Very simple, and you can reuse the function. And so sometimes this is valid. Yeah. So like this, you go to a primitive type or a type that you don't own. That is a good way of doing it. Because if you don't own the type, you won't be able to implement the guy anyway. So then you can wrap it, obviously. So this is pretty cool. Now we get the stuff here. And I don't know. So that is super cool, actually. I'm very happy with that. So this is, we have the min guy over there. And then the other guys that we wanted to do is to say, hey, if we have none, then we want none. Yeah, so this is what we want. So for example, we're going to say that Dana and Charlie didn't have any data. We're going to have Dana as none, which makes sense, yeah, because we didn't have anything. Even if we have space, we have none. Now, this guy is city known. Yeah? And I was like, well, that doesn't exist yet. So what we're going to do is git log, git amend. Boom. And now I'm going to be actually pretty happy with that. So I'm going to do, and because I didn't push it yet, I'm going to say plus, okay, because we added that. And I'm going to git push it. And I'm sorry here, I wanted to do the whole live. You guys can play with it. I will do it for the next one. That was a silly thing. So now that's pretty cool. So now the next one we want is that guy. It will be nice that guys could also be known. Yes, because sometimes you have known or null or whatever. So in this case, we'll have another deserialized string, and we could implement it by hand. Or we can ask AI to do it, and we're going to implement it by hand, it's fine. Up, just a sec. Okay. So we're going to take that, and we're going to do that. And deserialize, we're going to say option string. Okay, it's kind of a super boring name, but that is okay. And the deserialize stuff, we're going to copy paste this guy, that there. So usually what I like to do is I like to have those guys in region like that, and custom deserializer functions. Yeah, those are functions that you don't. So they're a little high, they're a little high, but you can go a long way with that. So it's, again, it's the goal of the code is to keep things simple, and they are completely valid way, and they've been vetted by the control guys. So now, obviously, this is not at all this guy. Why does he complain? Okay, that is fair, and that is because that should return an option of string. And now it shouldn't complain anymore there, which is good. And so again, I could have used the procoder stuff to add this, but in a way I say, hey, I'm going to use that opportunity to fresh myself up. So this is a perfect one. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a deserialize SRTR. So I'm going to do like something like that. And I have the string. So that's cool. So we don't want to do as str because no, it's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that. Now this is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. So we're going to do so we have the string, okay? So that is, we use the string deserialize and stuff. The series is pretty well done, yeah? Again, French pretty means very. So S as str, and then we're going to say none, and we're going to say, hey, people use Java, we should not be mean with the Java people. And then perhaps in Python, it's non-uppercase like that, or something like that. And then if they use SQL, yeah, might be new. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do something like that. And now if that is those guys, then we eat it, and we're going to say, okay, none. Eat it, meaning we don't care. Now, actually is going to be pretty cool, because that might be something we're going to see. I might be hanging myself in Rust here. You're going to see. Then after, we're going to say so we have the known, known. So this guy thinks if we have empty string, and because we have the builder that trims the guy, is fine, we're going to have a known as well. Okay, we're going to make it different. I could have put it there, but I'm going to make it different. And then if we have anything else, that is where we have a different logic of this guy. Hey, funny guy. No, I don't want the two lowercase. Sorry about that. I want the string, yes? So we want to make sure we don't get the lowercase there. And then if we have the things, we are going to have the sum. And that is S, but that might complain. We're going to see. Yeah, cool. No, okay. I complain for the other reason, that's fine. No, it doesn't complain, okay. I thought it was complaining because here, but it's a match, so it's actually friendly. Because we're taking a reference here, and now we're returning the own things. But because it's a match, the compiler is smart enough, so it's good. And sorry again for the inlays. So now that we have this, I go back to my thing. Look at that. City known. We have everything we wanted. So that is pretty cool. This is exactly what I wanted. If you have any question, feel free to ask. I think we're going to kind of close this stream here. There might be another stream that I do. I don't know if I will do a stream. If you add comments, and if you like it, feel free to add comments. The next one that I need to work on, and I might do a stream about this one, is, so those guys is when we know the type. So we are happy. We know this person, we know our CSV, we talk to the people, we had meetings, we had standard meetings, sit-down meetings. Everybody says this is a schema, we can go with it, and that's fine. Sometimes, again, you do not have this luxury. Stuff are like fluctuating. There's like columns that get added that needs to be captured. The nice things about this 30 guy, this CSV, if I had another one here, we're going to call it other stuff. And then we're going to make it some stuff. Okay. If we have that, it won't break. And that is the nice things about this whole static crate. And I think is why the guy did it very smartly, is because he's saying, well, in your static guy, you didn't say you wanted those, so I'm not I'm not polling for it. So he knows he has it because he has a header and he keeps a header to kind of do the match, but then it doesn't. So that's nice because that means that the CSV can have things that we don't know and it's fine. That is very important because otherwise it's almost impractical, not practical. But the trick is sometimes again, you want to turn a CSV into a new line JSON, for example, format, and you don't know what you have or something like that. Yeah. So we're going to see that. I need to find about the use case. Then after there's another one, which is going to be the next level up, which is polars. And if you guys want to play with data and all these kind of things, polars, and unfortunately I don't have enough, but I'm getting there, but don't have enough use cases to use it yet, but we did before in some of our medical applications. And that is polars.rs. No, I think it's polars. Rust. They have a cool website. And that is kind of a data frame. Oh, they got fancy now. Probably got funding or something. Yeah, we are hiring. They got funding. But it's a very cool stuff. It's a data frame, so it's like Panda, but super optimized with Arrow and all this kind of things. So it's a serious stuff. And then they have an amazing Python frontend. So when you use it with Python, it's like as simple as using Panda in Python, except that everything is written in Rust. Everything is kept in memory in the Rust kind of thing, such as there's no like back and forth between ND array and all these kind of things. And so it's super efficient. So that is the next level when you know the type. Now, the trick of this is why the CSV dynamic and stuff is very important. The trick of that, to use data frame, you have to make sure that you know the types and you type them as strict as possible, at least numbers. What you don't want is you don't want numbers as strings because you have a null or whatever. Even dates, try to put them as, for example, epoch time microsecond. That is a format that I like. It's a number, super simple, I64, it works super good. Float number, F64 and everything, and string as minimum as possible. And when you do that with data frames, you can create millions, hundreds of millions of rows in sub-second or 100 milliseconds. It's crazy fast because the way it works. Yeah? And so that is the next level up. So the first you do the thing, and then eventually you take that file, and then you can put it into a Parquet guy. And the Parquet is a format that is friendly for all this kind of data frame stuff. So that would be the next level up. Any question? Feel free to ask. I think this is going to be good now because we have what we wanted, the 2D serializer and everything. I'm going to do, so I already posted this guy. So what I usually do, format business again. Yeah, this one I did it by hand. Oh no, yeah, but my rust-10x didn't have that. I need to add that to my rust-10x, such as he knows that. But that's pretty good. And then I'm going to go back there. I'm going to comment this one. So that is super important. I toggle off because when I code, I don't like noise, and moreover when I do XP. But when you do development, I strongly recommend final commit or even before any commit. Usually for my production code is before any commit. I turn it back on most of the time. And then after I go back there and I say, okay, that's fine. I have these little things, and then I'm fine about this. Okay. I prefer to do this way, knowing what I'm not using and having Clippy warning me on stuff. Because that is very nice because sometimes it catch some very good bugs. I mean, this Clippy is a gem of Rust. So git log, git C, I'm not going to do amend because I already pushed it, and I'm going to say code clean, And it's actually, we added something custom. So we're going to do a C03 and add custom option string. Okay, it doesn't have to be English, and then push it, and then I will have it there. I will have, I'm going to push it. So I pushed it, I'm sorry. I'm going to put the repo public, sorry about that. And so I will put it in the comment or in the description of the live. And then you have a question here. You have some custom linting, the println. What is this? Yeah, so that is because we're using Rust 2024, I think, and I have the latest Rust. I mean, you probably have it too, yeah? I think it's the latest. So cargo, no, it's Rust C-V 188. And the 188, they don't like when you could put, they don't like that. Okay, that they always, they say, hey, you know, now we work very hard in the Rust team, you should put it there. That was a lot of work. So, and I like it, you know, it's fine, but sometimes you have a lot of warning like this everywhere. And I'm going to do a video with AI Pack where actually you can fix all of your codes at once with just one prompt. It's going to be super cool. But yeah, that is one thing. And so one thing that I didn't do yet, and I need to do it every time I say I do it, I need to put it in my Rust 10x blueprint with AI Pack. I need to put it there such as he knows how to put that. Because by default, all the AI, they put these guys later. Because that was the way we had the code, yeah? All the code of Rust right now is like that. But that gets linted on this. This is why AI Pack is awesome, because you can use knowledge, and inside your knowledge, you can put your stuff. Now, you could also put your rules in cursor, whatever. But that is pretty cool. I will do a video over there at some point of the new AI Pack. Just did a release this morning, starting to be super cool. And to get this cool new UI, you do AIP, install Pro at Coder. So you go to AIpack.ai, you install a binary, it's 25 megs, all included. Yeah, and once you have that, you do AI Pack, install Pro at Coder. So that is a Pro Coder guy. It's only 12 kilobytes. And then you do AI Pack, install Pro at Rust 10x. And that has a lot of my best practices, and I'm going to add more. And now within ProCoder, when you run ProCoder will create this file, and then you can put your prompt over there, and then you see the answer there. And then you can put your knowledge like that, Pro at Rust 10x guide. And that is where I need to add a guide to say, hey, now make sure to put, when it's possible, when there's no dot, to put the name inside the thing. Such as, you know, at the first shot, it has it. And then you can use any model you have. And then the cool thing, if you go to your base, so .aipack base, this is PWD. So Jeremy Sean, .aipack base. Then you have a config default. And here's all of the aliases. And you can put any model you want. But here's the cool aliases that I have. You can have Flash, and you can even have control how much reasoning you want, even 0 with Flash. And then I just integrated this weekend the fireworks.ai, which is very cool, by the way. And so we have Quen Coder, we have Quen. So by default, they are linked to the 3. And we have GLM and GLMR and Kimi2. So it's pretty cool. We have all this cool stuff. So once you use that, it's awesome, because you go there and you can change, you can say Quen Coder, and you say force if you don't want to write. And then you can say, hey, can you implement this? And then here is not writing anything. So if I press run on this guy, so I do AIP, run, Pro at Coder. And here's a string trick in 0.7. 17 and above, XP TUI. And then, boom, you have the whole TUI here. And that will do. And so because you have write false, it's not going to write any file, and it's going to give the answer below. And then if I do write true, then it will do the stuff. And then in context, I put all the context I want and everything. And then I can run it multiple times, and then I can see everything. So here I do with coder. That is a Qwen coder. If I want to do with a JLM, I can do the JLM. So that is a new JLM kind of guy. So that it was 0.05 cents. And if it's write false, is going to take the context below and put it back as well, such as you can have a little chat. But the whole point is you have full control of your prompt. Yeah. So now I'm going there. So JLM is slow. It's much slower than Qwen and everything. It's kind of slow. So it's cool, but it's slow. So I'm using quite a bit of Google Flash Pro or whatever. I think Firefox has a problem. Fireworks have a problem with that. So this one here, 25 seconds for a simple task like that. So that was a little bit too long. But otherwise, it's pretty impressive. The stuff is good. So here it gave me, yeah, because I have the write false, it gives me the block right there. But if I have the write true, boom, we'll put it there. And then you can do a big code as well because you do a search replace and everything. So I will probably do kind of some videos about AI Pack and stuff. It's completely free, open source, MIT things, built in Rust. It's about 40,000 lines of code now, so it's pretty cool. And you can build your own custom agents. So there's some agents here that I built, for example. I'm going to show that. I always have a problem to stop the stream. AKO lab. So you can go, there's a repo, it's open source, it's lab. And so I have the lab stuff over there. And here's the thing. And so you can git clone the lab. Okay. I'm going to remove this guy. Oh, did do. Okay, I removed the git by mistake. So you can remove the lab. You need to install. You make sure you have the keys. So you do AAP, check keys to see all the keys. So obviously me, I have all the keys because I'm always developing with everything. And then what you can do is in lab, you have AKO, which is agentic knowledge optimization. And it's starting to be pretty cool here. AAP, run, and you say lab/AKO. So make sure you do a AIP init to have the workspace here. And then you run this. So it's going to run this guy, and because within this guy, you have a main, is going to run this main guy, okay? And then XP-XP TUI. In 0.8, that will be default. Press enter, and then you say, hey, so that is a TUI, but the AKO agent say, hey, you need to edit this file, JSON-C. So I click here, and that is the AKO agent. That is the format of the AKO agent. And the use case here is to say, let's say that you have a big website, like for example, for blockchain, Alchemy. So you want to learn how to do blockchain and everything. They have a website here. It's 300 megabytes. It's crazy stuff because every file has all the CSS and everything. You cannot send that to AI. AI will explode. Yeah? Will say, too big, too bad. So the point is, I can do that. I can uncomment this guy. And as examples here, I gave you other guys there. Yeah? And then I can say, hey, I want the out there to be there, the base URL, Alchemy, the first page is this guy. I want to filter only the stuff. I can work with 10 pages, and that is the globe that I don't want. And the cool thing is there's sub-agents. So I have an agent that augment and an agent that creates the LLMS TXT, and we can have different models. So for example, on this one, I can have the 2.5 flash, for the augment, each page I'm going to see. And then the other one could be stuff, but I could use Quen. Let's use Quen. I can use the alias. Boom. And then here I have the concurrency. So we can put the concurrency. We are going to go crazy here on this guy. So that is the concurrency of the page. And we're going to go crazy on this guy. We're going to go 50. And now, so you can git clone. I mean, if you are in the here, you guys. So I'm trying to make these things easier for non-coders, but you guys know how to code, so you can play with this stuff. It's pretty cool. So now I'm going to run it again. So this is all my runs. And so when I run, boom, it's going to run multiple agents. So the Slim agent there's no AI. It's just downloading the file. And then in AI pack, in Lua, so this is all the videos I made, yeah, I slim it down into HTML without AI. And then I make it a raw markdown. There's a cool crate to do HTML to markdown. And this one I use HTML5 So it's pretty cool. And then I use globs to make sure that I exclude the stuff. So now there's all this AI. And then once everything done, so I want to 122 megabytes to 0.6 in markdown. Oh, I don't have the keys. Epic fail. I don't have the keys? That's not I need the keys. Okay, this time it's going to re-download it. That's what it's me. Okay, so it's downloading it, and now it's downloading the whole thing. So here we can see, you know, we have 100 and stuff, and now it goes back to this guy. And all of these guys now is in concurrent. So this is all of the task. And I've done that with all Ratatouille. So the UI is pretty cool now. So I can actually see we have concurrency 30. So there's 30 steps that goes to AI. Green means done. Yellow means AI thinking about it. And so I see now how everything is going. So I have AI task and all of this. Now I can go and click on any of them to see the detail. So here I can scroll off my task, and here I can see the detail of anybody. So this one is pending, this one is done. I can click if the stuff will be faster. I click here. I can see the files that it processed, and I can see the file source. And so the goal here is when I do the slim, the AKO, the raw MD is a little bit ugly sometimes, and they don't have the right thing. So the augment is going to AI and say, hey, can you fix the markdown to make it nice? Yeah. And so that is what it does. And so here we can see, and because we did concurrency, we did in 1 minute, we did 16 minutes of work because everything is concurrent. And I can navigate while it's running. Yeah. So here I can see it's been doing this, that. That is a guy that has been excluded with a globe, but I have the status here, so I went from that to that. And now it is always like the big ones here that are staying, but it's still 1 minute on 17 minutes. And then we see, and then after, if we go and see that, for example, we can see that, which one was a good one? So you can navigate with key, so we can go to, for example, the developer best practices. I think there's one with code here sometime. Yeah, token. Yeah, this one is, I think, is a good one. So when we did when we slim it down, there's all the time the navigation of the website that is there, and I don't want that. I want the AI to remove that, but I don't want to do it programmatically because it will be too much work. And same thing here, I have all this line numbers business. And that makes sense because I have line numbers and that got carried over by the HTML to Markdown. But this is where AI is super smart. So now I can go and I see what AI has done. Boom, I go there. Now I have a super cool stuff. I don't have any navigation business. And now I have all of this. So it's very clean. And now I can do all of this. And because I went from 120 megs to 600 kilobytes, and it's actually smaller than 600 kilobytes now because it's been even reduced when we remove the stuff, then I can send that to the prompt, and then it knows everything. And now everything is done. The LLMS is done, and I can click there. Can click there. I can go there, I think. click there. Then this is the LLMS TXT, which is, I think, better than theirs because it's always markdown and it's pretty cool. And so that is pretty cool. So that is a custom agent, and Procoder is one of the agents that use AI Pack. So hopefully that was answer some questions or whatever. And all of this is done with Rust, and you can look at the code. And eventually I will do kind of a review because there's a pretty cool pattern of how I use Ratatouille and all of that. So we'll do more videos on Ratatouille now that I know quite a bit. And I will share some of my best practices. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful for someone. And we'll do other lives. Probably the next one will be CSV to Newline JSON, and trying to do some CSV optimization or kind of predictive type. Yeah, so you don't know the CSV, but you want to try to guess what type each column is. And that is super important for data frame later. Okay, until next one, happy coding.